Hey guys, it's Leo. I'm here today with a little different video than what I'm actually going to be doing a review on my initial impressions of Tales of Grace's F for the PlayStation 3. First off, I'd like to give a shout out to longtime friend Bryce Pappenbrook for bringing his amazing vocal talents to Asbel Lant, the game's main character. Good job, man. I'm really enjoying it so far, and hopefully, with any luck, I'll be joining you in that endeavor very soon. So, with that aside, I'd like to say I have been a longtime fan of the series, probably since Symphonia on the GameCube. So I've got a few of the titles under my belt here, and thus far, I have to admit, this one's shaping up to quite possibly be my favorite. It's amazing in every sense. I've really been impressed with it so far. It's got everything. You got, the music, the staples of the series are all there. Oops, don't want the intro running again here. Well, I lost my track of thought there. Oh yeah, it's got all the staples of the series are there. You've got your anime style artwork, you've got your great music battle system, all that good stuff. Skits come back, they're fully voice acted and even have some sort of like movement to them, I guess you could say. Actually, oh, well, here we go. There's one for you right now.
I guess it's been a while since I've been shopping because I didn't know about these stamp cards. Let's have a look here. Each city throughout the world uses its own stamp cards.
It's like you can see here, it's, more of a in-depth view with your characters when you get in here. But anyway, while this is going, I wanted to say that longtime fans of the series will notice that there are a couple of distinct changes. I think they're all for the better. And I'll make sure to kind of keep this simple if you're a newcomer to the series too. This game is very approachable. I will say that it is a generic JRPG, as you can clearly see just from the style of the artwork. It's very anime-esque. It has a lot of those character archetypes to it. And there is a lot of element of grinding and crazy stats and everything like that, but it's really enjoyable the way they level it to you in this one. First and foremost, one of the biggest changes to the system is they've fully gone out, they've thrown away TP, which is this series' version of MP. Everything now is based on chain capacity, which is that little CC you see next to my character's health bar there. What that essentially is every action you take in battle uses up some form of CC, whether it's free movement, your attacks, all that stuff. And they recharge at a pretty quick rate, so it allows for a more high-paced action, battle system than what we've been used to in the past. The range there is based upon your weapon that's equipped, and I'll show you the details more later, but the gist of it is the minimum is what you start the battle with at, and you can increase it as the battle goes on based on your performance. But the arts is what I wanted to get into. These are your methods of attack, and in Tales of games past, it was once that the arts were your special attack. That's no longer the case. Your basic attacks are called your A arts or attack arts, and they have a whole flow chart that comes with them now. As you unlock abilities here, they kind of fill into this grid. So no matter what, my base attack is quick slash. I could be pivoting the left stick any direction, that's the move I'm going to use. However, when you go to the second stage here, you can see that if you look on the left, it'll actually highlight in purple the direction that the joystick's being pressed. If I were to be, starting with quick slash holding left, I would go to wing crush, and assuming I still have enough chain capacity to keep moving, I would do then wolf wind fang, and then go all the way up to burial blade, which is like the finisher. So that concept was present in older games, but they've really fleshed it out now. Like the direction that you're holding for your basic attacks really makes a substantial difference on the kind of move you're doing. I love it, honestly. I think it's awesome. And then you go up to your burst arts, which are the traditional special attacks. They operate very much the same way that they have in any other game. You allocate them, to whatever direction you want. In this game, that corresponds with the circle button. So I'd go, hold right and hit circle, or left in this case, to use shockwave slash. The one thing that the game pointed out, specifically the verbiage, is when you go into burst art mode, your character's fighting style actually changes fairly drastically, so it differs between each character pretty substantially, allegedly. I haven't tried playing as anybody other than Asbel yet, so I can't really confirm. The other big change is the title system. It used to be kind of just a goofy little thing. You could slap titles on your character. Sometimes it gave you a costume change. No longer. It's actually really your customization source in this game. It's very Final Fantasy IX if you played that game. You go into your titles, and each one, as a slot here, you can see there's a total of 162 for Asbel. And you go hover over it here, and at the end of battle you earn experience points as well as SP. And your SP goes to whatever title you have equipped. So you can see I'm 0 out of 220 right now on this particular one. If I were to get 220, I would increase my lightning strike ability by a 5% damage modifier, and then I would gain access to the Cryas attack +3, etc., etc. These are permanent upgrades. Once you learn them, like these that I have over here that are level 5, these abilities or stat bonuses are forever imbued to your character. So you can imagine the level of customization that's going to give you. I mean, I have not even touched on a majority of these, so there's a lot of moves and a lot of stats I haven't even unlocked yet. And that's going to play a big role. Obviously, by the end of the game, you're able to, max them all out, I'm sure, and then you're just God mode. But throughout the process, you and I could have very different battle mechanics or parties. The last major change that I noticed, I'm going to just go ahead and demonstrate it to you here, is the fully seamless world now. There's no longer a world map per se. It's very a la Final Fantasy X, actually. You step out of a town and you're on a field, and you travel between areas that way with monsters in the midst, just like any other RPG. I actually had read about that prior to the release of the game, and I was a little leery about that. I like my world maps. I'm kind of an old school RPG nut in that regard. I have found this to be actually an enjoyable system in this game. I actually just got access to the world map itself. And as you can see, the world seems to be a decent size. I mean, I've put about 10 hours into the game, and I'm pretty much just this little area right here. It's all I've ever have explored thus far. So there seems to be something to it. But I'm going to go ahead and kind of give you a little bit more of a detailed battle demo here. Now I'm going to set my secondary guy on manual mode, so that way he doesn't do anything. He just sits there. Normally your AI or another player can control these other characters in your party, and you have your strategies. You can set them, the AI, to behave whatever way you prefer. For now, though, I'm just going to, like I said, disable them so that way I can kind of show you the fighting system here. So it is a revamp of the Tales of Abyss and Tales of Vesperia battle system. It's freeform battle. You do whatever you want. I'm going to kind of demonstrate for you here what I was talking about. If I hold certain attacks, or certain directions I should say, the style of attack changes drastically. Excuse me. And then going into burst mode here, I just hit circle. He unsheathed his blade, so now I'm limited to a whole different set of those burst darts. Unfortunately, though, I'm way over-leveled for this area. I spent a lot of time grinding SP earlier today, so it's kind of hard for me to show you a fast-paced battle. But you can go in. You've got access to quick steps now, like if you double-tap forward, back, side, side, you move and get evasive. You can guard. There's different auras that come from your guards that represent different things. Essentially, as you guard longer, you get better and better, like less and less staggerable, and you can stagger them and all sorts of good stuff. It's pretty cool. I honestly haven't quite fully got the gist of that yet, but you can see that if you've played any of these other games, the battle system is definitely similar, but they've improved upon it. I really like the chain capacity system. It fills up rapidly, so you can just spam attacks. The only thing you want to watch out for is once you hit 0, if you just keep, button mashing X, you're not going to let yourself recharge any, so you just get one little single attack over and over. Kind of slows you down, but you get used to it real quick. And I can imagine that as the game goes on, it's going to really develop into something big, with a lot of chaining combos and all that good stuff. Last thing I want to talk about that's a new feature is this little item here called the Eleth Mixer. It's really kind of difficult to explain. It's new to the series entirely, and I've never even really seen anything quite like it before. Essentially, though, once you get an item into your inventory, whether you got this little collector's book here, which is another staple of the series, collector's book. consumable items, food, weapons, armor, any type of item that can be collected in the game. They give you a percentage and a list and all that stuff. Once it's in this book, you can go into your mixer and you can essentially go to it. And this mixer basically creates items out of thin air. The way the game describes it is it uses the world's resident Eleth, like energy, elemental energy, to create these items. Now, at the top, there's certain requirements for this to happen. So right now I have fried rice set to the first slot. So in battle, when the battle goes greater than or equal to 10 seconds long, it creates fried rice for me, which has a 14% HP healing recovery. You probably saw that go off a couple times actually while I was doing those fights just a minute ago. Then down here you've got your materials. Rather than making food, you've got your components for synthesis and stuff. And out the top it says traveling, 59.5 production chance. What this means is essentially as I'm wandering around every minute or two, it'll randomly try to create something, and that percentage chance that is up there is representative of that. My pasta is a 99.9% chance, so pretty much any time it tries to proc to create something, it's going to give me pasta for sure. And then the rest, it's interesting. It kind of takes away from the grinding a bit that's associated with these JRPGs, because if I'm low, like for example here I have 0 core dust, it's a 44.2% chance. So if I just throw that on and wander around doing my thing, it will eventually most likely pop up and give me one. So I don't have to farm for it anymore. I just kind of wander around and continue playing the game, and it'll eventually come to me. So that's kind of cool. I like it so far. The only other thing I can say about the game that's worth mentioning that's almost a negative is the distance between places on the world map is a little bit small. Like, you get between point A to point B fairly quickly, and since they did away with that traditional world map, you would almost expect these areas in between to be almost dungeons of their own, where you'd be wandering around for a good 10 or 15 minutes to get to your next little town or whatever. It's not really that big of a deal. Monsters do respawn, so you can kind of wander and run back and forth and do stuff. But I can kind of just give you an indication here. Ignore these guys. Just left out of town, and that yellow dot on my map is the next major location. And it's pretty much right around this bend, honestly. So you don't have to travel too far, which I guess is good and bad, depending on how you look at it. But all in all, I know the battle demonstrations aren't the best because these monsters go down too easily. I'll likely put up some detailed battle videos later on of harder boss fights or whatever you want to say, but really enjoying the game. Definitely recommend it to newcomers. It's definitely a detailed RPG that'll keep you busy for a long time. The Tales games are traditionally like 100+ hour games, and then there's always multiple playthroughs, so you got a lot to keep you busy. You saw how many titles the characters have, and just getting all those unlocked would take forever, I'm quite sure. So in any case, I'll get back to you guys soon enough with a little bit more of a detailed video or specific walkthroughs maybe. I do hope you enjoyed my little initial review. I'd say I give it a good 8.5 out of 10 to begin with, and I do believe that number will go up as I get to be more engrossed in the storyline, which has started off to be really good. Actually just reminded me, one last little point. The beginning of the game is very slow, forewarning. I appreciate what they did with it, but for the first probably 4 or 5 hours of gameplay, you're playing as the characters as children, essentially. They're kids. And you do get to fight and everything, but the breadth of the battle system and everything doesn't really open up to you until you're an adult and get past that first story arc. And it does kind of drag a little bit, I'm not going to lie. I'm sure it'll have its implications later on in the storyline and all that, but it's going to be tough for somebody who's not used to these kinds of games or not really an anime JRPG fan. They might find it a little bit gay, honestly, and I think it, could have been done a little bit quicker, but it's not bad. So muscle through it. The main storyline seems like it's going to be a really good one and definitely worth playing through. So in any case, I'm getting off this here, so please rate, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys again soon.